Welcome. This is Quizzing in America. I am Jeremy Conman. I am your host, and I am coming to you live from Chicago, Illinois. And I am joined today by the one and only Paul Paquet, a trivia legend from Ottawa, Canada, and the proprietor and organizer of the Ottawa Trivia League. Correct, Paul?
That is correct.
All right. Welcome. And also, I believe and we'll get into this in a little bit, but the founder of the Trivia Hall of Fame, which right now exists only virtually, but maybe someday, like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, we get a building.
That's exceptionally unlikely.
Probably, but yeah, maybe in Alex Trebek's hometown would be a great place to put a Trivia Hall of Fame physical location. Anyway, Paul, you have been running trivia in Ottawa for how long now?
I think 27 years, 28 years.
27 to 20. Wow. Okay. So I had Johnny Goodtimes on the first episode here out of Philadelphia, and he has been going for over 22 years already. He started in the very early 2000s, but you go back to the 90s.
Well, recently there was a guy who was with us in the beginning, who was a university student who I reconnected with a few months ago, who's now clearly into early middle age, and it was really disconcerting.
Well, I mean, you probably have children of people you've hosted trivia for that can now play your game in the bars. And I don't know if you've seen that happen.
Because one of the things I'm really proud of more than anything else is that over the years, there are couples who met playing trivia, answering questions about Taylor Swift and tectonic plates, who met, fell in love, got married, and have children. So there are at least 5 human beings I know of who only exist on this earth because I started the Trivia League, which is a cool thing.
That's pretty amazing, right? And have you ever officiated a wedding for any of those couples or anything? Okay.
2, actually. Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And then, so how did you get into this? Because obviously nobody says, I'm going to grow up and be a trivia host or a quiz master, or you write trivia questions, or most people don't. So what got you started in the 90s when you first started hosting?
So the origin story is my wife and I both did a trivia job for a tech guy who's become something of a small deal. I won't name him, but we had all these questions that we still own the rights to. And I was thinking, well, how can we repurpose this material and keep making money from it? And the 2 things that came up, one was the website, which triviahalloffame.com, and the other was the Ottawa Trivia League. And at this point, I had never been to a trivia night. I'd never seen a trivia night. So I just sort of improvised the format. So whereas most places, it's like 10 rounds of 10, with us, it's a round of miscellaneous multiple choice and a round of open-ended questions. And the advantage of that from where I sit is it allows me to tailor more of the questions to more of the audience. Because it's really important to me that the questions reflect the people playing it. So I'm able to micro-target different demographics within the league so that everybody feels that they have a place at the table.
And so you call it the Ottawa Trivia League. Are there weekly standings, monthly standings? Do you have a championship at the end of every quarter or every season? Or
so again, not being aware of how other people do things, we have one game that runs the course of the week that I spend all week working on and writing. And the idea with that is we have, I think, 25 locations now. So the idea is if you can't play at one spot, you can play somewhere else and still see how you would have done citywide. So every week I put out a list of the top 5 teams citywide. There's a 10-week season based on points, and there's a trophy that people can look at after the end of 10 weeks. And, so there are inter-city rivalries among the really good teams, and they do check the ratings to see how they're doing.
Now, so you run the same game like Monday, and the same game is on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this: have you ever had it come up where you have somebody who goes to the Monday game, plays under one name, and then goes to a different place with maybe a different host on Wednesday or Thursday and knows all the answers?
I'm sure it has happened, but it's more rare than you might think. One thing that I have the host do as a fun thing, and not a check on cheating at all, is we get a photo of the winning teams and put them on the Facebook page in a lot of the locations. That's a bit of a break. But I find actually if people are going to cheat, what happens more often is just before we read the answers, they have a sudden urge to go to the bathroom. And that's tend to be more of an issue than anything else. But the other thing that strikes me is cheating is much less of an issue now than it used to be, because it used to be that we had a real problem. If someone had their cell phone out, they were absolutely Googling the answer. And it seems now that the crowds are much better behaved and much less inclined to cheat. We had one guy, this is going to work on a podcast, but he had an Apple Watch. And what he would do is the questions, he would put his hands behind his head and repeat the question close to his Apple Watch and look at it. And what was remarkable is the team, when they caught him doing it, they exiled themselves for the rest of the season. And when they came back without him and with a new name.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. So, I mean, cheating can happen, but the stakes are sufficiently low. It doesn't really matter. Most of the places you get a gift certificate, maybe $25, which, I guess is significant. But even though I know it's possible, I don't think it happens a lot.
Well, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this 15 years, and I think I've seen more accusations of cheating than I have actual instances of cheating.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying it never happens, because I've caught people cheating. I know it happens.
Yeah.
But it is a rarity.
Yeah.
It just, most people that are going out to play trivia want to test themselves on what they know. They don't want to just show off and cheat their way to a victory. So
the advantage of it too, from my perspective, is I can spend a lot of time working on that particular game. And what also happens is Monday night, which is the first night of the week for us, is in a way a bit of a play test. Like we run the game and I say, oh, you know what? This could have been worded better. This could have been a little bit different. So we can hone the game on Monday. So it's really in tip-top shape Tuesday forward.
So you do tweak the game a little bit sometimes if you're like, oh, this question would have worked better this way.
After Tuesday, I try not to, because then it becomes a bit of a thing. But often on Monday, or there'll just be small typos. Like we had one this week about the castle where the Traitors is filmed, that I had to letter off. And that's something we can fix pretty easily.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then how many questions are in your game when you run a full game?
It's a 55-point game. So the first round is 11 multiple choice questions, 5 audio clips, something called the quickies, which is just something they have on their page to look at. So it might be like a this or that, or this week it's Booker Prize winning novels and you give us the author. It's just something to work on. The second round is 11 open-ended questions, a theme round of 5 questions, and something called the box of trivia, which is a bunch of recurring games we have, like something that's basically Jeopardy before and after, an anagram, something like that. Then there's something that we've actually named, in honor of Jackie Fox from O'Brien's, because this is something she does there. We call it the Fox Hunt. And what happens is you could have up to 3 guesses for something. And the more guesses you use, the fewer points you get, which is a nice little, there are some questions that really work for that. Questions that, I aim for questions that have you thinking, well, I think it's probably this, but it could be that. We take the chance.
Sure.
What do we do? We have a number question, which I used to really hate, but for technical reasons, we can't break ties the way we used to. So the number question breaks a tie. So I've gotten good actually about, so the closer you are the number question, the more points you get. And I've gotten fairly good about giving people some sort of reference. You don't want it to be like how many jelly beans are in the jar. You want it to be able to be guessed.
Sure.
So the other week we had a question. Somebody, I don't know why you would do this. Somebody, you know the show Yellow Jackets?
Sure. Yeah. I watched the first season. I haven't seen it past that, but.
So somebody, it was Time Magazine actually, for some reason calculated how many calories you would get from eating each of those kids. So we asked about that. I think I gave a reference that Tim Hortons chocolate chip muffin is this many calories, given that blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So we have the number question. We have a wild card question, sort of our version of Final Jeopardy. And then we have a thing, it's based on what they had in Reach for the Top, where you would have 5 clues about something that get progressively easier as we go, but with fewer points. And when they know what it is, they bring their sheets up to me. I do the last little bit of marking, and then we send them all. Oh, there's also a picture round as well.
Okay.
And then we send them home.
All right. So that's a lot of questions. I mean, there's and it's a good variety of stuff.
Yeah. And it's the nice thing, but like the way we do it, like I said, is I can, it's easier to balance things. So if I think, oh, there's too much Gen Z stuff, we're going to throw in an older question. There's too much pop culture stuff, they'll have some more science. And it's just easier as a whole to keep things spread out and interesting for everybody.
And so, how long does it take you to prepare a set for a week? Is it, or can it, for me, people ask me that. It's always if I'm on a good run, if I get inspired, I can knock out a set in probably 2 to 3 hours. And if I don't have that inspiration, it might take me 2 to 3 days to write a set of trivia.
Yeah, no, I actually calculated this one time, and it is 2 or 3 business days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I try to write 15 questions a day, but they're not all great questions. So what I try to get is the very best, most entertaining questions I've been writing and sort of throw those into the pot. But because I'm writing individual questions rather than rounds, it's easier to do that because I don't have to rely on having an idea. I need one theme round. I need quickies, which are a set of 9. But past, I don't really need inspiration. I just need good questions.
When you're not, how often do you host? So you write this, you have 25 or so venues a week. Are you out hosting every night, or you have other people that are doing that at this point? You're only hosting maybe once or twice or for special events?
I used to host 6 nights a week, which I don't do anymore. Now I host, there's a venue that does 2 games on Monday. So I host both those venues back to back. And I host on Tuesday at one of our longstanding venues where there was a bit of a crisis around the host, 2 crises actually around the host. So I stepped in just to keep stability of the location there.
At the end, when you have the end of the league and they get the end of the 10 weeks, right? You said?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is just a trophy goes at the venue where the winning team, the high scoring team is, or do they get any sort of like special prize?
It all sort of, there isn't a special prize. Something like 10 years ago, a team that won the season actually went out and got a trophy of, no, wait, no, I got that trophy. What am I thinking about? Anyway, so about 10 years ago, I got a trophy of a Hulk guy ripping off his shirt. And at the bottom of it, it says Ottawa Trivia League. And I forget what the exact words, but the Latin for just the facts man. And
okay.
That's what it looks like. So what I'll do is I'll I'll either take it to the venue where the people are, or better still, they'll come to one of my venues and they have it for the night. They get their picture taken with it. We also don't do this anymore because it was starting to get too expensive. But we had like on the Stanley Cup where the team is listed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to do that, but the cost of that started to mount. So I'm not doing that anymore.
You should let the team, if they want to pay to have their name on the trophy, they can, Yeah. I mean, I would do it at least once just to get my name on there if I want it, Yeah. And then of course you also host private events, corporate events, online events, right? Stuff like that. So I'm sure that keeps you plenty busy. So what are your favorite types of, because you've written so much trivia over the years. You've probably written more trivia than anybody that I know. And I know people that have written books. I know people that have been doing this for decades, but
I figure it's in the range of 150,000 at this point.
Yeah, I think you've probably undershot it, to be honest with you. I don't know. Maybe you're right, but I would have thought you'd be more closer to 250,000. But what are your favorite types of questions? Do you have a favorite type or format for questions, or what are some of your least favorite types of questions?
The thing that makes me a little crazy at the moment is when you don't see this much live because it's harder to pull off, but like these paragraph long questions that are like 50, 60 words that you can edit down to the essence of them. Because one of the things I try to have happen is that every word in the question is doing something. It's either leading you to the answer, or it's entertaining you, or it's pinning the question. But every word in the question has to be doing something for the crowd. I used to work as a speechwriter too, which really helps because I've gotten fairly good about writing for the ear, which is because your ear processes information very differently than your eyes do when you read. Because when you're listening to something, you have to stick to subject, verb, object. It has to be you can't have subordinate clauses and all this stuff going on. The ear needs to be very direct. Yeah.
I think that, by the way, I think that's great advice. And I think as somebody who's written many questions myself, I think that actually is probably maybe my Achilles heel, is being a little too verbose and wordy in some of my questions. And I think I need to sometimes do a better job of parsing it down and just getting to the nitty gritty of this is what the question is asking. This
Yeah.
is the information you need, and let's get it out there in 1 or 2 sentences as opposed to an entire paragraph. I think that's great advice for people out there that want to write better trivia questions or just want to write trivia questions in general. And then do you have any like favorite questions? I mean, you've written so many, it's hard to probably choose 1 or 2 that would be like, oh, this is just a perfect question. Or
Well, some of them are going to be coming up because
okay, good.
When we did our 25th anniversary, I did a special game where I looked back at some of the favorite questions I've had of all time. One question I've had a lot of fun with, and I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately, and I've been doing this in the custom games, is I don't remember the exact wording, but it's something like this activity is believed to have begun in somewhere in England, and these 2 people had a successful business with it in the 60s. And Ottawa's very best example of it started in 1998. And this is something that I'm positive every one of you in the room has done. And everybody's thinking, well, how can you know what we've done? And the reason I know that they've all done it is the answer is pub trivia.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always get a good reaction.
Yeah, it's funny too because I was like, "What could you possibly?" And yeah, that those are fun questions too. Whenever you ask a question where people look at you with like this quizzical look on their face, going, "How on earth am I supposed to figure out the answer to that?" And then at the end, it's like, "Oh yeah, that's probably the only answer that makes sense, and I could have thought of that, but I didn't."
Another favorite thing I've been doing in the custom games is we have a music round. So we'll have, 3 tracks from different eras and whatnot. And the third one will be Neil Diamond's Sweet Caroline. And I stop the clip just before he sings Sweet Caroline. And literally every single time I've done this, the crowd has sung the next 3 or 4 lyrics. And that's a really good moment. So
yeah, they're great. I played a game actually. It was a fundraiser it was sometime last year. I think it might have been last April, or I can't even remember when it was, but I was down in somewhere in the middle of Illinois, and I ended up going to this trivia night. It was a fundraiser, and it was an all audio round trivia night. Mm-hmm. So all they did was play songs, and you had to name the art, and each round had a theme, whether it was golden oldies, hits of the 80s, hip hop. But they did one round and it was like the sing-along round, and it was all songs like Sweet Caroline, where they cut it off and they said, this is the round where everybody, if you know the words, just sing it. And it was like they had American Pie, and everybody got a perfect score that round because all the songs were songs that somebody on your team is going to know. But it was fun because they got the whole room singing with every song, so
at the end of the day too, especially when you're talking about pub trivia, at the end of the day, it's about people having fun. That I got in trouble for expressing this wrong before, but there's an approach to quizzing that's very serious and very academic. And I've always come from the pub trivia tradition where the emphasis is really on entertaining people. And there's nothing wrong with the other focus on, being serious and competitive. But from where I sit, the fun is what matters even more than the score, really.
I 100% agree with that. I, of course, come from the same background as you with the pub trivia experience. And that's really what's gotten me into the quizzing community as a whole. And there's a lot of great folks out there in the quizzing community, some that are hardcore, serious people that really know their stuff. And that's great.
That's great, yeah.
But yeah, when you come into a pub, you're there to entertain the people there. You want them to, have some dinner, eat, drink, be merry, have a good time, and you want them to want to come back. And, I found, and I love to go out and play. Part of the reason behind this podcast is I want to bring different pub trivia formats from around North America to people all over who don't get out and get to experience all these different games. And so when I go out and play, I have some local places in Chicago that I go to, and I'm not to toot my own horn. I'm a pretty good pub trivia player, right? Like I can go into a lot of nights and I can win solo or I can play solo. And if I go to a place where I can win alone, I try to not go there every week because nothing can, well, there are other things that can hurt a pub trivia game, but one of the things that can really hurt a pub trivia game is when you have one team or one person coming in and taking the top prize every week, and all the other teams are like,
Well, we have a way around that, actually. We have a handicapping system. So if you
Oh,
in locations where that's a problem, if you win 1 week, the next week you're -3. And if you win again, you're -6 the week following. And the handicap, if you lose, the handicap drops by 1. And that tends to address the issue of people objecting to the same people winning all the time.
I like that. I've never seen that. That's a nice system. There was a venue that I had. They had a rule that said you could not win more than 2 weeks in a row. If you won
Yeah.
2 weeks in a row, you could come the third week and you could get second. But even
Yeah.
if you won, you only got second, and
Yeah.
somebody else had a win, and that helped a lot with that. But yeah, I think it's great. You know, you want, again, it's about entertaining people. It's about having fun, and you'll learn a few things here and there, and you get some fun facts in you. You get to
Yep.
show off what you know. And having
Yep.
said that, why don't we show off what I know or don't know, and let's play an Ottawa Trivia League game as best we can. Obviously, you do an audio round. We may work around that, or a picture round. We'll see when we come to those how we handle that. But we'll at least play most of the game.
Yeah, so I'm actually abridging the game, so because usually we run about 90 minutes, and that might be a bit long here.
Well, and with one person playing, we won't run that long anyway, right? Because you're not gonna have to wait for all these teams to answer. But yeah, so we'll do our best to recreate the Ottawa Trivia League experience right now. So I guess take it away, Paul.
So our first question is usually an easier one, just to get everybody warmed up. Number one, the category is grammatical childbirth. Which of these sentences uses contractions and is spoken by somebody having contractions?
Okay.
God damn it, give me an epidural. I'm having a baby and it's not yours. This is all your fault and you did this to me. Or when will this be over?
Well, I'm having a baby and it's not yours. I'm is a contraction, right? I am.
Yes.
So that would be somebody who would be having contractions, and that would be a contraction. So I'm going to go with that one.
And indeed.
Yeah.
I picked the 6 multiple choices because I know that a lot of people out there really hate multiple choice questions. But I think there's a way of doing them to take advantage of the facts. So number 2 is spoiled questions. If it's true that only victors get the spoils, which of these people would get no spoils since he's not named Victor? The author of The Hunchback of Notre Dame, the Danish pianist and comedian born in 1909, the fictional Swiss chemist who created a monster often confused with him, or the Russian who has scored the most goals in the FIFA World Cup?
Okay. Wow. So that's a good way to ask that, because I mean, obviously I know Victor Hugo is a victor and he gets the spoils. I don't know if I know. I'm trying to think of read the last 3 choices again.
Yeah, so we've eliminated one of them. All right, so the other 3 are the Danish pianist and comedian born in 1909, the fictional Swiss chemist who created a monster often confused with him, the Russian who has scored the most goals in the FIFA World Cup.
All right, so I don't know a lot about Russia's FIFA World Cup thing, but I think there is a chemist named Victor, though I'd be hard pressed to give you his last name. So I'm going to eliminate that. I'm going to go with, I'm going to assume that the Russian World Cup guy is like Alexander or Oleg or something like that. I'm going to go with the Russian World Cup guy is not getting any spoils.
Yeah, we have Victor Hugo, Victor Borge, the Danish pianist, the fictional Swiss chemist who created a monster, Victor Frankenstein. And it is the Russian who scored the most goals in the FIFA World Cup. By the way, these questions are a bit harder than what we usually do in the Trivia League, just because I thought it'd be more fun this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 3, not one of the Groucho Marx characters. Despite being credited with inventing television, who only appeared on TV once in 1957, when he had that secret on I've Got a Secret. Otis Driftwood, Philo Farnsworth, Rufus Firefly, or Quincy Adams Wagstaff.
I'm fairly certain that Philo Farnsworth is the guy that is credited with inventing television. So I am going to go with that.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
This next one is significantly harder, but we'll see how you do. A real thinker. Metaphorically speaking, which of these is the odd one out? Henry, a bestial member of both the X-Men and the Avengers. Josie, the leader of a feline-themed rock band. Leonard, a physician who insists on his lack of versatility. Or Van, who hustled his way onto the pop charts in 1975. This is hard.
Okay. So, wait, no. Read those again. I just figured it out. So
we want
those again.
Metaphorically speaking, the odd one out. Henry, a bestial member of both the X-Men and the Avengers. Josie, the leader of a feline-themed rock band. Leonard, a physician who insists on his lack of versatility. Or Van, who hustled his way onto the pop charts in 1975.
This is a great question. So you have Hank McCoy, who is
Yep.
Beast on the X-Men.
Yep.
Leonard McCoy, who is the Doctor on Star Trek, or Bones.
Yep.
You have what was the last one again? The
Van, who hustled his way onto the pop charts, 1975.
So you have Van, the hustle was Van McCoy, and then Josie McCoy. But Josie, Leonard, and Hank are all fictional. So the other one would be the real McCoy. So
exactly.
That's very cute.
Yeah. Number 5, yikes is the category. What were the first chainsaws designed to cut? Bones, especially during childbirth. Ice, especially on rivers. Stone, especially in masonry. Or wood, especially in cold climates.
Wow. All right. So before you even gave the choices, my mind immediately said, I think it's bones. So because I had that instinct initially, and that was one of the choices, whether it's right or wrong, that's what I'm going with.
Horrifyingly, it is indeed bones during childbirth.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 6, the D is for digital. If Dr. Dre were a real doctor giving you a DRE, what kind of doctor would he be? Gynecologist, pediatrician, podiatrist, or proctologist?
A DRE.
And the D is for digital.
Digital resonant. Read the.
Gynecologist, pediatrician, podiatrist, or proctologist.
Oh, proctologist.
Yes.
I think it's a digital rectal exam.
This is also an example of the kind of thing that we're not doing as much anymore. Because it used to be that when we started, I had a question I used to just love, which was something along the lines of, if you're having trouble finding Mount Clitoris, clue, and the answer is that it's in the Philippines. And that used to get a massive laugh every time I did that question. And I'm finding in the climate now, people are not into that kind of thing. So we don't do that kind of stuff anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, I think times change and sensibilities change. But, digital rectal exam is going to be funny, I think, no matter what. Yeah. I don't know. And I think that's a cute way to ask that question, especially with the Dr. Dre reference and everything. Yeah. I think that's a lot of fun.
So I'm going to put an example of the quickies into the chat.
Okay.
This isn't going to work as well with the podcast because it's one of these things where when you see it on the page, it's a lot easier to dope out, but I will read them out anyway.
Sure.
So the 10 items are 24, Vancouver Park, named for its second mayor. 23, the entire universe in this moment. 22, Led Zeppelin's last album, 1982. 21, home to a roaming community. 20, Toxoplasma gondii, for example. 19, Silent Spring, for example. 18, fluids fit their space. 17, reflected nocturnal sunshine. 16, focused theatrical illumination. 15, Harvey, attorney at law.
Okay, right now, before you post them, there are two things that I know from what you just said. And so I believe I know what this is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take, these are best picture winning films because Led Zeppelin's last album is Coda and Harvey is Birdman, attorney at law, and Birdman and Coda are both best picture winners.
Yeah.
So I don't know if the numbers you gave correspond to the year they won best picture.
They do.
Okay. So I like that. That's very clever. And you can post that away and I can try and give the answers to the rest, I assume, at some point.
In the chat.
Oh, okay.
Put them in the chat.
Interesting. Don't see them.
Oh, that's weird.
Did you hit enter?
Oh, hold up. Let's do that. This should do it.
There we go. All righty. So now I have to remember what won all the best picture award. Home to a roaming community is Nomadland.
Yep.
Silent Spring is going to be a Green Book.
Yep.
Toxoplasma gondii is going to be Parasite.
Yep.
The entire universe in this moment, Everything Everywhere All at Once. By the way, I hated that movie.
Okay.
Vancouver Park, named for its second mayor. Apparently, there's an Oppenheimer Park in Vancouver. Let's see. We have a Green Book, Fluid Fit their space. So The Shape of Water, Reflected Nocturnal Sunshine, Focused Theatrical Illumination. So Moonlight and Spotlight. So we have Birdman, Spotlight, Moonlight. Shape of Water, Green Book, Parasite, Nomadland, Coda. This is, by the way, great because the Oscars are coming up. Everything Everywhere All at Once and Oppenheimer. That is a lot of fun, especially because I'm a kind of a little bit of an Oscars and movie buff myself. And I was when I heard last Led Zeppelin album, that's what really triggered it. I was like, oh, that's Coda. Oh, wait, I think I know where he might be going with this.
Yep. No, it was a lot of fun when we did in the pubs for sure.
Yeah.
So now we've got some open-ended questions. 7, this is some CanCon, unfortunately. 7 things you never noticed before. Tim Horton died in a drunken car accident. Given this, what accidentally horrifying name does his eponymous restaurant chain give to his donut holes?
Those are Timbits. That even I know. Yeah.
But I've lived here all my life, and it was only like 10 years ago when an American friend of mine saw Timbits. Oh, didn't he die in a car accident? That's pretty terrible.
Yeah.
8, you can probably guess when I wrote this one. Lockdowns make you crazy. There are 2 Stanley Kubrick movies in which 3 characters are isolated and basically locked down. And in both those movies, one character tries to murder the other 2. Name both the movies.
Well, obviously one is The Shining.
We're being very liberal about what a character is, I should add.
Okay, so 2001: A Space Odyssey is Hal the character? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. 9, the category is spelled SEVOM. Pantoliano Joe and Moss Carrie Ann, Pierce Guy co-stars film what?
Oh, cute. That is Memento?
Yes.
Yeah.
10, not a greatest hits album. Who released Best of the Beatles, a 1965 album that contained no music by the Beatles?
Ooh. So I don't know this at all. I'm wondering if it's no, I know what it is. Light bulb just went on. Is it the sometimes referred to 5th Beatle, Pete Best, who would be the best of the Beatles? Yeah. 11.
It's one of the world's most prescribed medications, but a large percentage of doses are placebos, and it comes with folic acid in case it doesn't work. What is it?
Yeah, I think I'm stumped on this one, but
I can say you are at a disadvantage here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Rogaine. I really have no idea on this one.
This is one of these, I like to have questions that favor our female players. This is definitely one of them. These are birth control pills.
Oh, I think that, I mean, I know that, like, now that you say that, I know that fact about birth control, but you're right. My mind is not going there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, fair enough.
12 is one of these things where I usually give everybody the point anyway, because it's such a terrible question. So the category being the very worst question ever asked in OTL, Ottawa Trivia League. Today, tomorrow, and I don't know are the names of the players in the outfield. What is the name of the team's first baseman?
Who?
No.
Is it what?
What is the name of the man on second base? Who's on first? So the answer to the question, what is the name of the team's first baseman, is no.
Oh, you're right. That is one of the worst trivia questions. Yeah. Fair enough.
So I won't do a full, I'm not going to do the theme round or a full box of trivia, but I will do our movie title mashup. This is basically Jeopardy before and after.
Okay.
Macaulay Culkins from throughout the multiverse team up to set sticky traps for bumbling but superpowered thieves.
Okay, so Home Alone. Repeat that for me, because obviously there's an old...
Macaulay Culkins from throughout the multiverse team up to set sticky traps for bumbling but superpowered thieves.
So, is this... Well, so I want to say it maybe is Spider-Man Far From Home Alone?
Spider-Man No Way Home Alone.
Okay, so that's the thing, is there's 2 Spider-Man movies it could have been. I wasn't sure which one.
I can never keep the recent Spider-Man movie straight myself either.
Yeah.
Fox, this is what I mentioned before, where you have up to 3 guesses. The September 1984 issue of what magazine is both highly collectible for one reason, but also illegal to own for a different reason?
You said September of 1984?
Yeah. Highly collectible for one reason, illegal to own for a different reason.
Well, so that makes me think that, I'll tell you where my mind goes right away is that maybe it was an adult magazine where an underage person was in it, because that would make it illegal to own.
I see the right track.
Yeah. But, or when Madonna was in Playboy or, so I get 3 guesses, but there's no more clues, right? That's just the only, okay.
Yeah, and the more guesses you attempt, the fewer points you can get. Not that the points matter here at all.
So what would make it illegal to own?
Oh, I will tell you.
Is this Tracy Lords, who
It is
was
Tracy.
an adult film star,
Yeah.
who I think there were pictures. I don't think it was Playboy. I think it was actually Penthouse. So I'm
It
going to say
was.
Penthouse. Yeah.
Yeah. The cover was Vanessa Williams, who was the current Miss America, but that issue also included some pictures of Tracy Lords. So it is, yeah. Our wild card is our version of Final Jeopardy, and not that it makes any difference, but you can bet 0, 1, or 2 of your points on old-timey sitcoms.
Well, I love old timey sitcoms. And since this is just for funsies, I'm betting the max.
Damage to a 1964 Wheeler Playmate and events subsequent represent the premise of what sitcom?
A Wheeler Playmate. Oh, so I think that's the boat in Gilligan's Island that got. So yeah. So that's the three. Gilligan's Island would be my guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll close with the rush round, which is 5 clues that are progressively more obvious. You're welcome to think out loud. When you think you're sure, just say final answer, and we will see if you're right or not.
All right.
So our stupid, obscure clue for 5 points. In the 21st century, I've been a minor character on different TV series, played by Erica Durance and Elizabeth Tulloch. Dana Delaney has voiced an animated version of me.
Well, so I happen to love the show Smallville, in which Erica Durance played Lois Lane. And that is certainly a character that has been on many things, voiced many things. So I want to say Lois Lane and lock in, because I can't imagine that Erica Durance has that much of a catalog. So I'm going to go with Lois Lane.
Yeah, 5 points for you.
Yeah.
You would have killed it at this game.
Yeah, well, I mean, you hit a wheelhouse there at the very end. Like Lois Lane, one, I loved Smallville, and 2, I think Erica Durance may have been my favorite person on that show. She was just fantastic in that role. So yeah, I absolutely love that. And so yeah, so I mean that's a little Ottawa Trivia League for you there. And do you have any? Are you going to be at any of the big events coming up? Are you going to be at Trivia Nationals in May or August? Okay.
Yeah.
I think I actually may not be at Trivia Nationals. I have a friend getting married that weekend, and I think I may attend the wedding, so I won't see you there. But living in Chicago again, and SporkleCon is here in August, so if you make it down for that, hopefully I'll see you then. If not, I hope we see each other again in person soon. But it's always good to catch up either virtually or here on the podcast here. Thank you for coming on and doing this. Any final words of wisdom for trivia writers and players out there, anything like that?
Well, we have a handful of rules in the Trivia League. One of them, and Russ Friedewald expressed it well, is no bummers. So a question about the Titanic is okay, but a question about 9/11 is not. So nothing that will traumatize the people who are there. Another rule is no harshing the mellow. So what I always tell the host is, if you like something, you can say so, but if you don't like something, keep it to yourself. So I don't like people to insert negative opinions into the game. We have a rule about no politics. So there's a Johnny Carson exception, which is if I have a little bit of a hit at the right, I'll do a hit at the left. It's a little bit different now because I think the entire Canadian country is turned against Trump. So he's an exception. Yeah. So those are some basic rules that we live by up here.
I think sage advice, and I think hopefully there will come a day and America and Canada are buddy again. But yeah, I think we've hit a little speed bump with our current administration, and I'll leave it at that. But yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, thank you for doing this. I'm going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time on Quizzing in America.